What's up, guys? This is Nick from Arch City Poker, and today's video going to be live two-tabling some PLO25 6-max. It's very early in the morning. I just took my girlfriend to the airport, and I'm not really ready to go back to sleep, so we're going to kind of see what kind of action's going on here. Left table three-handed, right table four-handed, so going to be playing pretty loose and aggressively, I think, especially in this player pool. And we'll see how it goes. Obviously, my thoughts and actions are going to be in the moment, so that'll be very interesting. King, Queen, 10, 7. This is close, but I think four-handed it's just good enough to close the action and go ahead and get in there. And this hand, I think, is dominated by a lot of his squeezing range. I am going to go ahead and let it go. Excuse my squeaky chair. Kind of a shit spot, to be honest, with just the queen-high flush draw. Facing bet and call, this will definitely be a fold. So this table's filling up here. If the table on the left stays three-handed, though, I definitely am going to be really aggressive with these guys. Going to be really aggressive anyway, as I tend to be in PLO, especially in position. But, well, in really any form of poker, I'm pretty aggressive, I guess. But I can go ahead and just flat here, close the action. Flop a weaker wrap. I don't think I should be doing a whole lot of raising here. I don't really rep. Like my strongest hands are obviously like my top set. I don't really rep that well. I think that, yeah, we might be able to get him to fold some equity here. I think you could argue possibly checking, but I don't know. I don't want to. I think it's just better to probably bet. Yeah, get him to fold some stuff like, well, I don't know. Definitely hands that it could be better, as I do have just 7 high. I want to play tough in position, play as tough as possible in position as often as possible. Just put in a lot of bets, make them very indifferent to continuing. Put him in a really tough spot there with even just like a really weak ace and not a whole lot else going for him. It's going to be hard for him to have a lot of playability, so. Flop some blockers on the right. I think I'm going to start with a bet for sure. Yeah, I think that's fine. Start with check on the left. You could go either way, but with the blockers, going to keep it up. Yeah, I just think that it's the only play on the turn after I see bet. Start with small bet on the left. I mean, I block a lot of his continues. Might get something like a heart draw to, or induce a heart draw. Or might get a queen to call, so I think that's probably okay. This hand won't play well multi-way, so I'm going to go ahead and just let it go even for that min raise. Nice double-suited king-high rundown. Definitely going to go ahead and put some pressure on my opponent right away. Awesome queen-high double-suit rundown. Same thing here. Even from the small blind. Yeah, I'm going to start with a small bet on this paired board, repping. Definitely ace-ace combos, get him to fold out a lot of his equity. Diamond, heart, Broadway turns are all good to barrel. So I think that's definitely a nice spot to go ahead and bet small. I will be mixing, raising, and limping in the small blind versus the big blind. Probably raising most of my better hands, limping most of my not as good hands, essentially, and going from there. Gonna start with check call on the right table, I believe. Actually, what was SPR? I'm gonna start the call on the left here. Only about, what, 3? Yeah, this is fine. Fortunately, I think like a lot of his if he's not there, I think a lot of what his drawing to is already better. So I could have misplayed that a little bit, but not too sure about that. I actually on the left like calling here, just because I just don't think my hand needs a ton of protection, and I don't think I have a ton of bluffs. So I think that this is okay, but could definitely argue a for sure check raise on the turn. You can even argue a lead possibly. I think unfortunately I got caught up in two interesting hands at the same time, so that kind of messes with me when I'm trying to think aloud. I don't think I play as well when I do these kinds of sessions, but Jack blocker here, and with the ability for him to bluff me off my hand on future streets, I'm just going to go ahead and lead. Call, closing the action on the left table. Yeah, I think he's usually pretty capped here on the left. So with like the 5, get a little protection maybe. The gutter, I just don't think he has a whole lot there. Right table, yeah, I guess closing the action. This is pretty loose, but it's not horrendous. Yeah, if I had backdoor suit possibly in that spot, I think that's fine. Heads up on the left now, so this will be kind of interesting. With the 10 of diamonds blocker and the open ender now, I'm going to go ahead and start betting. Tried to fold out his equity essentially. And pretty much being at the bottom of my range. I don't think this bet needs to be too large. Actually, going to go ahead and fire. Okay, so yeah, that makes sense. Weak flush. I don't really need a whole lot of protection on the right. I think you can go either way. I think actually I'll start with check. I guess I'll just go with min raise, heads up. I haven't really played a ton of heads up PLO, but I think it's probably okay. We'll go. The problem is I just block so many continues here. Actually, I'm going to check again and hope maybe he spikes like 7s like the underfold, but there's just not a whole lot he's going to call with, I think. I would like to bet like a weak ace in this spot. I'll bet small. Gonna go ahead and 3-bet the double suit, double connected pair here, even if it is small. And this will be an interesting hand because this flop texture should hit him much better. I'm not real pumped about flopping bottom set in the spot, but it is heads up, so will be kind of interesting. I don't mind going for check call here. I think I want to keep him. I want to keep his bluffs in here, and I think a raise in this spot in this pool might only get action from a better hand. So I think I'm just going to probably be in check call mode the whole way. Yeah. And I'm not sure if he'll thin. I don't know if he'll value bet a straight there on the river. I think he probably should often, but I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, I don't have a ton of. I've played a little bit of heads up PLO, and it's just a matter of, obviously we're going to be wider. You're going to have to value bet wider, bluff more frequently, just like you would in heads up no limit. But it's kind of interesting. I'm actually gonna check back here. I mean, the backdoor clubs aren't that great, but I do have a gutter and not just the 8 blocker. And I think once he checks again, I mean, it's so quick. Like, that timing makes me feel like, I mean, no heart blocker. This would be, I just feel like he doesn't have much here once he, like, auto checks like that, but it could be some kind of tricky line. Yeah, with no 10 or 5, no hearts, I'm just going to go ahead and let this one go. I'm not sure about, yeah. Not sure about my turn bet. I think it's more of a timing thing. Like, when he checks so quickly on the turn, I feel like he's just giving up pretty much almost every time. Yeah, I don't think I should be defending this one. I'm going to start with pretty much check call, I think, with the weak flush on the right table. Yeah. Could go with block on the left. I think this is fine here. Call again on the right. River going to have to decide. Check back this turn. You could definitely fire again. Just go to showdown here. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. Obviously, heads up, this will be a super strong hand. I will actually be willing to possibly even, well, I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, I was going to say possibly get it in with him. Awkward spot on the right here. And I am going to go ahead and just try to get it in on the left here. Having the ace blocker is really nice. That's a really strong hand, heads up. The problem here is, like, I just don't know how often players are taking like the ace or king blocker and making this play. So I'm going to kind of exploitively fold and just assume that it's going to be value heavy most of the time. But kind of an interesting spot where in a tougher game I might have to go ahead and call that down. But this isn't exactly a tougher game, so I'm okay with that. Going to go ahead and bet the 7 blocker, I guess, try to fold out some equity. Another pretty strong hand. I actually think, I mean, I would assume this is probably a 3-bet a good amount of the time. I think the thing, though, in PLO is position so valuable, and I think I would like to balance my flatting range here with some combos like this, so I think this is fine. I actually think, yeah, I actually think a lead's okay here. I should have, I think, more of these combos. I have the blocker and the backdoor hearts. I block some of his overpairs, so it's kind of an interesting spot to talk about a lead, but I'm not going to say exactly what or I don't know exactly what's right in the spot just because, like I said, I'm not a heads-up PLO expert or anything. And the 4s with a king high suit. This is very debatable. Yeah, I'm actually going to fold this. because I don't think I can call a lot of rivers. No, maybe that one. Yeah, that might have been too loose. I would like an ace-high suit there with the fours, have a little bit more equity, but I think four-handed, the king-high suit's probably fine. I don't know if I'm going to be folding a whole lot of hands to him in position in a 3-bet. Or, yeah, a whole lot of hands to a 3-bet. This flop text really hits his range pretty well. Start with a check, I guess. Would have expected him to see bet most of the time. He could be going for check raise, but I don't. I just really lack playability on rivers. I'm just gonna let that go. If I was double suited here, I think I would 3-bet this most times, but I think I'll go ahead and flat here. Could definitely argue a 3-bet. It's fine. And same thing here, but I'll go ahead and flat. Bet here would be more for protection than value. We'll go ahead and bet here. I think just betting in this pool is better more often than not. I think with the 6-high flush draw and not a whole lot else, the 4's a decent pivot card. Maybe a 4 spades. I could definitely peel there with the backdoor, the second backdoor suit, but I'm not sure. Might be a little too weak. Yeah, I'd rather just fold out their equity now, pretty much. I think that's fine. I think this is a decent hand to check back here with the queen high flush draw. I would like to have some of these types of flush draws and even an ace in my check back range. I don't think I need a ton of protection, so I think that's fine. Just block a lot of what he would call with, so I'm not even sure a bet does a whole lot here, but I think if I can get him to, I can possibly get him to call some worse hands. I think it's all right. Just block a lot of it. Definitely 3-betting on the left. Very easy 3-bet. Sort of check call. I don't think I really would like to get raised in that spot. I'll start betting for protection now more than anything. I think there's a lot of bad rivers once this card comes. There could be an argument heads up for just go ahead and c-bet, but I think it's fine that way, possibly too. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, just another hand where I don't think I need a ton of protection on this paired board. I think that I can realize a lot of my equity with this, with an 8 being a card that I can pick up some, like, a 9, Jack, 6 is pretty good. Heart is not bad. And I think a lot of his hands that he folds to a bet on the flop here go ahead and lead this turn, so I think that's fine. Yeah, I'm gonna actually size it up a little bit. Having the king blocker for the boat's nice. Like, I think I can get him to call with an 8 a lot here. So I am gonna size it up heads up with my flush on this paired board, not even being the nut flush, but that's the difference between being heads up and possibly being, like in a ring game. Is I don't know if I can really value bet the king high flush on that paired board there. Probably not, hardly ever. So I think heads up, that's the adjustment, and you just got to find spots to value bet wider, understand your blockers and what you unblock. I unblock the 8, but I block the king, so I block a lot of boats. So I think it's a nice spot to feel comfortable betting larger and hopefully getting that 8 to call, and maybe he has a worse flush even. But yeah, I think that's an interesting spot to talk about. And obviously the dynamics will change a little bit here now, having a table that's four-handed. I think there's been some decent action so far. Like I said, it's really early in the morning, so if I say anything really weird, or if I say something that doesn't sound like it makes sense, then that could be a big part of it. You guys can let me know in the comment section about any hands. Like I said, if you're gonna ever let me know about any hands, then just let me know at what point in the video, like a timestamp type of thing, you know, like if this is 14 minutes, 30 seconds in, be like, hey, Nick, on that ace 10, 8, 7 rundown hand, why'd you do this? Why'd you play it terribly? Maybe. So, yeah, just let me know. I mean, like I said, I think my strategy in like a tougher game would be it could be a lot different with this type of hand, but I'm just gonna bet and try to fold out equity pretty much. And I think their check raises often are they don't do it in like a balanced way. Like it's usually very value heavy check raises, and I don't even mean just like stuff like two pair plus. Like a lot of times this bet will be like queen jack nine. Like I'm talking about like wraps with like equity, like flush draws, like big value draws essentially. So I think it's fine to just bet here and not worry about getting like bluffed off my hand eventually, and just go ahead and let this go. It's very exploitative, but I think it works very well in these stakes. I guess on the right table. I mean, the thing is, it's like weird with his stack size, but I think I can outplay players too often, even with like a trashy double suit hand. This isn't necessarily for value, it's more for protection. I think my two pair is very vulnerable here. And left table, go ahead and fold. Yeah, I don't think a raise will be like a bluff often enough here, so I'm comfortable betting larger, possibly getting 3 to call. Maybe, yeah, I think that's about it. I don't think he has a whole lot of sets once he checks back the flop, so. On the left table, I folded just because I think there was a 3-bet, but this hand's just a little too disconnected, even with the nut suit, so go ahead and let that go. I guess I'll complete on the right with 10, 8, 6 deuce. It's not the greatest spot, but I mean, if they're going to let me in for that cheap with a hand that has decent equity, even though I don't like it multi-way, but the pot will be small, and I'm not going to get caught up in a pot where I'm overplaying my hand, so I'm totally okay with that. Very nice hand on the right here, 10, 10, 9, 8. These connected double suited pairs will play very well no matter what type of pot, essentially. You could argue 3-bet here, but I think that this hand just, I think it's fine either way, like I said. So I'm going to fold on the left table. Definitely protection. Definitely just betting my range here, I think, more than anything. Or really more so betting what I think. I think he just misses a lot here, so gonna go ahead and bet. This player, when he just check calls, I think it caps him to like a lot of draws very often. Okay, so that's really weird. I think he could have picked up something like straight draw plus flush draw. I don't believe that he has anything that good right now, though. Left table, flop the overfold, going to start betting. And what just happened here? Yeah, really weird. Like, I block a lot of his bluffs on the left here. I think this could be a 3 a lot of times. I want to go back and see that hand because I don't know what the hell happened. I mean, he might just get it in with a 3 here, or like overs and spades, so I guess I'll just try to start getting it in. Could definitely argue just a call, but yeah, I think he just is getting it in with a 3 too often. Okay, so yeah, I thought he had a flush. That is really bad, and that was a good read on my part. I knew that he couldn't really have much of anything at that point, so that's just really unfortunate, but that's going to happen sometimes in PLO. Just players have a little more equity than they usually do when they're drawing pretty thin, so I do think that that was a good read in that spot, though. When he just check calls the flop, a short stack weak player like that, it tells you pretty much that he never has 2 pair plus. I think on that turn he just picks up and didn't even pick up anything, but he could just have a lot of stuff like combo draws and things that he's just like, I'd just rather bet instead of get it in. So he can maybe try to get me to fold some of my equity, but turning top 2 there is pretty much the effective nuts, so there's no way I'm ever not getting it in with him. And unfortunately, sometimes you're just gonna get rivered, pretty much. Left table gonna raise, put some pressure on him. I think this combo's connected enough. And I think you could go either way. I'll check back with the gutter and the hearts. I think it's fine. Only thing that sucks if he does bet. I mean, I don't like that I block a lot of what he could be bluffing with. I mean, this is, in my mind, it's either made or it's air more so just because of that reason. Especially when he pots it. I'm actually going to kind of exploitively fold. I think in a tougher game format, I might have to do something a little different there, but I think that's probably fine. I think against an early position raise, I mean, it's decently connected, but I think this hand is often dominated, and I don't like it multi-way, so I am going to go ahead and fold that. I'd rather have a hand that definitely hits a board like this. Something like 7-6-6-4 would be better. I think actually, as far as it's not like necessarily better because I'm never pumped about what I flop necessarily, but I think if I flop anything with this hand, it's just going to be more likely to be dominated than a hand like 7-6-5 in this spot. So I think that's more of my reason for that. I'm actually going to fold this hand on the button. I feel like I haven't been folding any buttons in these like low stakes PLO games, but I mean, this hand plays terribly against a 3-bet, and I don't know. I can't steal like every hand. Well, I guess I could steal every hand maybe, but very nice hand on the left table. Very nice tens, nut, heart, nice rundown. Can play against a 3-bet, 4-bet even. If there was like a 3-bet cold 4. Actually, I don't know. In these stakes, that might be bad. Just complete on the right here with the nut suit and some potential. Yeah, so this flop texture is going to hit his range much harder. I think that... I still could probably argue it, but I think it's fine to check back here. Realize some equity, I guess. I'm just going to call on the right table here against the lead, and then the short stacks all in. This spot kind of sucks. The problem here is, like, even if I hit my heart, I think that I don't know if I'm ever getting paid in that spot. I'm gonna bet for more protection over here more than anything. I don't know. This is kind of exploitative. I just think like it's hard for him to be. Yeah, I don't think he has a lot of bluffs, and so it's just a money issue. But like I said, different stakes maybe do something differently. It just kind of depends. But double suited, double paired kings, really awesome hand here on the left. Go to 3-bet him if he opens for a raise. If he limps, I'm going to raise. Pretty much just going to raise no matter what. If he even decides to act, if he runs out of time, then I'm just going to scoop the pot. So this is going to be win-win-win-win pretty much. Okay, so the delayed raise or whatever he's doing. My cat's being crazy right now next to my computer. Malik, get down, buddy. Have to squirt him with the squirt bottle, unfortunately. But I can't be messing with the recording, dude. Well, this is a kind of a stupid spot, but having the eights, these are bad blockers because this would be a lot of like his bluffs, even though I don't block clubs. But I really lack playability on future streets. There's just no good turn really. So besides like the king of diamonds, and that's not even a great turn. So, or maybe that's not a terrible one either. But yeah, I just lack playability, and I'll just exploitively let it go there. It's where I think a lot of players make mistakes in PLO. They overplay their overpairs, but you just have to play. It's about playability in PLO. It's about how does your hand play on the turn and on the river. Visibility and playability. If you guys don't know about those, go ahead and go to my site. I got some articles on those, I think. But those are very important PLO concepts. I'm just going to flat here. I think if I was double suited, I'd go ahead and raise. I think four-handed, you can maybe argue it, but this isn't like the strongest rundown against even like a cutoff opening range, I guess. I think the 7 is just too much of a dangler. I think something like king, queen, jack 10, I would go ahead and just 3-bet that, but this is definitely a little bit weaker. And definitely folding a pot. There's not much I can do. The queen's a pivot card, but I don't have hearts. There's a lot of middling cards that come that I just don't do that well on, so very easy fold. Yeah, like that one. Pretty much opening most every double suited combo on the button. Gotta be careful about calling 3-bets with these though. You can get caught up with a lot of weak flush draws and such. So, and pretty much, I mean, this is just gonna be a check back and give up pretty much, blocking nothing. Yeah, I think even with the 4s, I'm just not real pumped about. I'm just gonna try to get this to showdown. Yeah. I think if I had like the king of hearts with that 7 river, you could argue a bluff raise, but I think it's probably okay to let it go. Double suited, yeah. Single suited, I'm actually not real thrilled about this hand. So even against a button open, but if the big blind decides to take action, I'm in a really rough spot. So going to be a little bit disciplined there and let it go. Could actually let that button go. That hand's just very terrible. Interesting. Looks like we had, I think, maybe a limp, a raise, a 3-bet, and a cold call from the limper, so that's kind of weird. So this combo is pretty good. I'm gonna 3-bet. I haven't seen how these guys will react to a 3-bet yet. I've been getting cold called too often, so I've been slashing some of these. But this double suited rundown is really good to go ahead and balance. I thought I was single suited at first. That's why I basically said that. Wow, those are some bad hands for that pot. But yeah, so I think I can definitely peel here against what I think is a very ace-ace heavy range. Getting about 2 to 1, I definitely have, I think, usually about 40% equity here. So go ahead and peel. That's a horrendous flop. And that's the nice thing about this spot, though, is I have great visibility. Like, I know what flops I do and don't want. If I would have flopped anything like pair plus gutter or something, or pair plus flush draw, then I can go with it. But this is definitely a spot where he just has like top set, or he has like ace, king, queen type of stuff, and I just can't continue. So it sucks, but it's definitely a nice spot to get involved and possibly stack a guy that will possibly shove ace-ace on any type of flop. That's the mistake I see often in these games, is guys will 3-bet ace-ace and feel like they just have to get it in with a low SPR on flops that are really bad for them, but they don't have to. You don't have to do that. So most flops you'll get it in, but a flop like 7-6-5 there, if you have just dry ace-ace, yeah, I mean, you're going to be in rough shape if you're getting action. So yeah, I'll just limp, I guess, with this crappy hand. I mean, I'll start with bet, just because I think that open ender's fine. Raise, that's unfortunate. We'll go ahead and fold. I think I have some bad blockers there. I think leading out's fine. Fold out some equity. A little semi bluff. Another spot where I have a hand that I like to get involved with, but I don't want to flat and have it go multi-way. So definitely going to go ahead and 3-bet here. I did notice he cold called one time after limping, I think, so we'll have to see what these guys do. But I just think this is, if I'm going to play this hand, I think this is the best way to go about it. Just get it heads up, lower the SPR, make it so that, if I need to get it in with pair plus draw or something, then I'm not so dominated. And that's a great result too, obviously, taking it down with that hand pre-flop. So that's the first thing I want to do. But I think there's been good action so far. I think there's been some very cool core PLO concepts that I've been able to discuss. I hope that it's not so early in the morning that I'm just like slurring my words or anything. But I think there's definitely been some. I think I've played pretty well for the most part, and I think a lot of the pots that I've lost, it's just been really unfortunate and really just kind of unlucky shit that's been happening. But I think that's just PLO sometimes. You just kind of have to roll with it. I think in theory, if we're going to talk about like theory dollars and making plays that are just based on long-term EV, then I've been crushing, absolutely crushing. And I should be in this pool. That shouldn't be a surprise or anything, to be totally honest. I'm not trying to sound like some kind of arrogant pro or something, but these games are really easy. And so, but I like to show you guys these stakes to show you how to play against these types of players, if these are the types of players you're going to be playing against most of the time. So definitely happy to bring these recordings do in this action. I'll just let this one go. I think that it's just really bad. So, yeah. Yeah, no real reason to 3-bet at this point. With the queens and the nut suit, just go ahead and see it flop multi-way, which is definitely fine. A lot of calling ranges are made up of like weak king, so you got to be a little bit mindful of that on king high textures. But I still think players will play pretty straightforward for the most part. I don't think there's a whole lot of value in betting here, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, this is a really gross spot. Oh man, I just don't know if this is a bluff into 3 guys or not. Yeah, I'm gonna see it anyway. I just don't think this is a bluff often enough. Yeah, that's what I thought. Definitely a spot where you gotta be very mindful of board texture and what you think you can even get to call you. I'll check back here. I don't want to get raised there. And the 4 blocker, yeah, I was going to say this is a decent future blocker that allows me to possibly call. Gonna pot it with my aces here. Call into side river pretty much here, I think. Got a showdown. Okay, so yeah, I think he needs to bet in that spot, but no big deal. Yeah, this is probably okay four-handed. I'm just going to bet again because I think he'll play very straightforward against this, and I don't want to check and like get blown off my hand. The only thing that sucks is like this could be like very draw heavy to decide here. Yeah, I think just exploitively this will be a fold. I think his worst hands are like a lot of hands that have a lot of equity against me, so I think it's fine. I'm gonna peel here because I don't think that he should hit this flop texture that hard. Problem in this pool, he could be overcommitting with like some kind of overpair, and it's kind of a spot where like you overestimate fold equity. So yeah, even with the wrap, I mean, I think unfortunately it's a fold. 3 of spades would be a little different. Sorry. I think the float could be questionable as well. Awesome hand. I hope he decides to play because I'm going to raise no matter what he does. And this will be a super easy check back with the gutter and no blockers to the ace. Even though it does hit my range pretty well, there's just no reason to really bet my hand, I don't think. I mean, it'd be purely protection. You could argue that, but this will be a fold. I do think I have some showdown value here, potentially. Don't block spades, so that's good. Don't block hands like 6, 7. I'm definitely just going to check back now. If he would have bet, that would have been really interesting because I don't think players in this pool are going to bet an ace in that spot. I'm not sure if he bets a jack on the turn, so yeah, I'm pretty sure I would have called a river bet though, so that could have been pretty interesting, but he decided to let it go. I think I'm about to wrap up the video. I'm starting to get kind of tired again. I might try to sleep before I potentially play a live session today or maybe more online, but I hope you guys have enjoyed the video, and I think there's definitely been some cool hands, and I wish I would have ran better. It seems like I never run so well when I do these, but I started to pick up a little bit on the left table here. But yeah, I think that there's definitely some very good hands to discuss some core PLO concepts and the fundamentals of this game. And things to keep in mind, guys, as always, is playability of your hand on future streets, what hands your opponents can and cannot have based on the action they've taken when they often cap themselves with like lack of action often, so keep those thoughts in mind. But I think overall, though, that's, yeah, pretty much it. So if you guys have any questions or comments about any of the hands, like I said, go ahead and let me know. Until next time, this is Nick from Arch City Poker. Take care.